Turn heads and bring the hype with a custom hype chain from Lotwin. Perfect for youth sports, fantasy football, or just flexing your pride. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. That's Lotwin.com, promo code TCCPOD for 10% off. Get your custom hype chain and get hype with Lotwin. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for May 26, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast, a back-to-work Tuesday. And, of course, the weather's going to be awesome now that the weekend is over. But it is Tuesday. Time for a little Tuesday motivation / positivity brought to you by the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. Go to clashingconferences.com to see how you join today. Check out their podcast wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And, of course, we here at This Day in Philly Sports History are proud members of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. And today's quote comes from James Clear. The best view of the game is probably from the stands, but that's not where the action is. So you have to decide, do you want to have a nice view or do you want to be in the thick of it playing the game? And I don't know. I think especially as this podcast is growing and my reach is expanding, there's a ton of haters out there. And I think a lot of it, though, comes down to comfort versus your contribution. To me, it's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback. It's easy to sit on the sidelines, or in this case, as James said, sit in the stands and criticize and critique what's happening. You don't have any risk of failure up there, no risk of embarrassment. You're not putting yourself out there. And usually those are the people that are the loudest critics, the loudest ones telling you what you're doing wrong, why you shouldn't be doing this, that, or the other. But if you are playing, it's hard. It's tough to be in the game. You may lose. You may get that criticism, but you're in control of the outcome. Don't be passive. Don't be judgy. Don't be sitting in the stands giving out free advice that nobody asked for. You have a great view, but to me, I'd rather be in the game, mixing it up, trying to make a difference, trying to better myself, better the world, better my family, better my friends, better whoever. So, like I said, it's easy to be the judgy one in the stands. It's even harder. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So just hopefully you can take something out of that this week as you're trying to better yourself in whatever way possible. Everybody's going to have an opinion, most likely from those sitting in the stands. And as somebody who sits in the stands, and does have those opinions sometimes, 100%, I'm not on the field. So if you are on the field, good job, keep it up. And if you are one of those ones being a critic, why? Why not put your money where your mouth is and get out there and do it? So the best view of the game is probably from the stands, but that's not where the action is. You have to decide. Do you want to have a nice view or do you want to be in the thick of it and playing the game? To me, I'd rather be playing the game. What about you? That is Tuesday Motivation Positivity brought to you by the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. Go to clashingconferences.com, see how you can get involved today, and check out their podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And, of course, we are proud members of the Sports Fan Network here. All right, so Phillies bounced back yesterday. It was nice to be able to see a game on the West Coast even. Good 3-0 win. Good start to the road trip. Jesus Luzardo. Philly's starting pitching has been absolutely outstanding. Just with the exception of a couple runs by Painter the other day, this is 4 straight quality starts, probably more if we go back. But between Luzardo and the bullpen, they look solid. Marsh and Schwarber did just enough offensively with homers to get the Phillies the win. Aaron Nola tonight, so we'll have to see how that plays out. He's not been good, and that there's no other way to put it. He's just been flat out not good. But nice win. I'm just starting to get a little concerned. And I think the fact that Schwarber and Marsh, at least for yesterday, seem to be immune to it, it's a good thing. But I hope we're not in the midst of one of these slumps where nobody hits and the starting pitchers are throwing lights out and you can't score any runs to do them any or help them out any, because this has been the MO with this team. So I hope I'm wrong. Trying on a Tuesday here to try to remain a little positive, but only 3 hits yesterday. 2 by Schwarber and then the homer by Marsh. So we'll see what happens. As going to need more, especially with Aaron Nola on the mound tonight. As you know, if you watched yesterday, I taped early, so didn't cover the Union game from Sunday. And of course, as fate would have it, I taped early, and there was no baseball game. Got rained out yesterday morning. But the Union did lose their last game before the World Cup break, 6-4 down in Miami. It's the second highest, or tied for the second highest match in MLS history. They have lots of time to figure it out. Milan and Lasky had a hat trick, but just nobody was playing defense. So they lose it 6-4, head into the World Cup break. They got time to figure it out, though. Hopefully they can figure it out. I do have some Sixers news. Tyrese Maxie was named All-NBA third team, the first of his career. Was fifth in the NBA in scoring, career highs in assists, rebounds, and steals. And I'm going to revisit something I said last week. With the way this team is, and knowing that you're saddled with Joe and Paul George's contracts, the Knicks, great. Hopefully they get blown out by either the Spurs or the Thunder. But hopefully, I don't know, is it time to trade Tyrese Maxie while his value isn't the highest? You should be able to get a ton of draft picks. Maybe somehow you could package Joe's contract or Paul George's contract and get out from that and still end up with a couple picks. I don't know. I like Maxie, but it's one of those things that maybe this is the time to do it. But what are your thoughts? 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. Should we entertain possibly trading Tyrese Maxie at the moment, considering his value is probably the highest it's ever been, and the haul you could get back, you could possibly get out of those contracts and not have to do a complete and total rebuild? Because I hate to say it, but I feel as though the way this team is constructed right now, you're going to waste some of his prime years here. So why not get something for him and maximize your value? Just throwing it out there as a thought. Let me know what you think on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Eagles start OTAs today. Likely not going to see A.J. Brown, although that would be the ultimate heel turn, whatever you want to call it, the ultimate plot twist that A.J. Brown shows up to OTAs today. But looking to see some of these. I mean, they're playing without pads, so you're not going to see much. But hopefully, you get start to get a better sense of what the offense is going to look like. Hopefully, Mekhi Lemon, we see some good things out of him. So I'm excited. I mean, it's not camp, but it's camp-like. So we're able to see, hopefully, some glimpse of what the offense. That's what I'm most excited about. What is this offense going to look like? Of course, there's Josh Sweat rumors again. I'd welcome him back in a heartbeat. That's all I have to say about that one. All right, yesterday's trivia question. The longest game in Phillies history was 21 innings back in 1918, July 17th to be exact, as they lose to the Cubs out in Chicago 2-1. They've played a few 20-inning games, but we talked about that 19-inning game yesterday. All right, some quick housekeeping notes. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Continue to spread the word. Don't forget to check out the podcast I'm doing for the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, the Philly Hall. Got to get with Steve this week to start planning out the next episode. Kyle and I will be recording a new Brotherly Birds breakdown on Wednesday. Kind of recap the draft, look at the schedule, and then any news out of OTAs between the next 2 days we'll cover as well. And I've been working on a project, and it got me thinking, and I wanted to throw this question out there to you guys. For Philly Youth Basketball, it's a partnership with the Philly Sports Hall of Fame, the Six-Man Center down in Wissahickon. Anyway, in preparation for the Roots Picnic, they're doing some interactive displays, and we've donated some memorabilia and things like that to them to start, hopefully, of a long partnership with them. But I'm doing things on Philly basketball legends. I've done Vivian Stringer, Dawn Staley, Kyle Lowry, Wilt Chamberlain, Kobe, and then Valerie Still. So as I'm doing these, it got me thinking, we have a ton of high school basketball talent that has come through, and a lot of the best players of all time. I think there's people from certain generations that will say Wilt is the greatest of all time. A lot of people in my generation will say Michael. But there is a small pocket that will say Kobe, and there is an argument to be made that Kobe is. But you can also throw Dawn Staley in there. So I guess the question is, greatest high school player to come out of Philly, is it Wilt, Kobe, or Dawn? And I mean, you look from an accomplishment standpoint, you could make a fair argument for all three of them. So let's have some fun here on a Tuesday. Who is your GOAT high school basketball player of all time from the Philly area? I might have to go Dawn on this one. And again, you could make a strong argument for all three of them. There's a ton of other great talent that came through Philly. So let me know your thoughts. Who would you have as the GOAT high school basketball player from this area of all time? I mean, you can make a very, very strong case for Dawn. Reppin' Philly ain't a choice. It's a way of life. PhillyGoat.com is your one-stop shop for Philly pride. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. Look fresh. Stay Philly. Philly Goat. Go Birds. All right, before we get into May 26th, I know this weekend was a wash, but trust me, I saw the weather this morning, and I know as the summer goes, we're going to have some nice weather. So you're going to make some trips down to the shore. Obviously, nobody likes the stress of moving in, moving out. Beach Caddy has you covered. They have bellhop service. They'll unpack your car, take everything in, and then load you up when your vacation's over. And then, of course, beach carts. Always a pain in the butt no matter where you are, what beach you go to. Best beach carts at the Jersey Shore. So Beach Caddy's got you covered. This summer, we are partnering with them. You can take 10% off your bellhop, which is the move-in, move-out service, or your beach cart rental. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery. If you're in Sea Isle, Ocean City, Avalon, Stone Harbor, or Wildwood, let Beach Caddy take the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. Go to beachcaddy.app and use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, first, we're going to go all the way back to 1933. On this day in 1933, the Phillies lose to the Cardinals 5-4 in 14 innings, but Chuck Klein went 4 for 6 with 2 RBI, including a single, double, triple, and a home run, the second time in his career that he hit for the cycle. 1933 happened to be the year he also won the Triple Crown. And that leads us directly into today's trivia question. What Phillies have hit for the cycle while playing for the team? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531 or the Discord channel, which is a link in the description. But which Phillies have hit for the cycle while playing for the team? All right, fast forward then to 1950, and the wheels were set in motion for the Philadelphia Athletics to leave Philly. Connie Mack Jr., the son of Connie and his second wife, wanted to start modernizing the approach, specifically with the farm system. Roy and Earl, Connie's sons from his first marriage, wanted to keep things status quo. And at the time, the A's had not been good. So Connie Jr. actually had a point here. But Connie Jr. had the backing of the Scheib family, which were the minority owners of the A's. And he had the support, so he came in and made wholesale changes, hired Mickey Cochran, former A, to be the GM, and then made Jimmy Dykes the assistant manager, which was supposed to be Earl Mack's job. So lots of changes there. Connie Mack was actually the GM, so Mickey Cochran took over his old manager's job. And Earl Mack became the chief scout. But this, of course, did not end there. It led to essentially Earl and Roy buying out the Scheibs and Connie Mack Jr. They took out a loan, put Scheib Park up as collateral, and of course the A's just didn't get any good. They could never pay back the debt, and this ultimately led to a mess that opened up the door for them to move to Kansas City. But that was all put into place today when Connie Mack Jr. came in and made some wholesale changes, replaced Connie Mack as general manager, left him on as manager, and replaced Earl Mack as the assistant manager, essentially the manager in waiting, replaced him with Jimmy Dykes. It was just a whole mess there for the A's at the end of their tenure in Philly. And then fast forward then to 1977. Sixers beat the Blazers 107-89 in Game 2 of the NBA Finals, and it was looking like a cakewalk for the Sixers. But with about 5 minutes left, Darryl Dawkins and Bob Gross were wrestling for a rebound. They fell to the floor. Darryl Dawkins was frustrated, threw a punch. Didn't connect with Bob Gross, though. Hit his own teammate, Doug Collins, who had to get stitches because of it. This led to Darryl Dawkins and Maurice Lucas literally squaring up at midcourt, led to a bench-clearing brawl. Unfortunately for the Sixers, it fired up the Trailblazers as they would go on to win the next 4 games. But at least on this day, it looked as though the Sixers were in good shape. But then you got Darryl Dawkins punching Doug Collins, accidentally, of course, but it just led to the brawl that fired up the Trailblazers. 10 years later, the Flyers stave off elimination, beating the Oilers 4-3 in Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals in Edmonton. Rick Tocchet had 2 goals, Pelle Eklund had 2 assists, and Ron Hextall made 31 saves, sending the series back to Philly for Game 6. Would the Flyers force a Game 7? Find out later this week. Just kidding. They do. And then in 1995, the Flyers complete a sweep of the Rangers to move to the Eastern Conference Final. Carl Dykhouse had 2 goals. Ron Hextall again with 31 saves as the Flyers win it 4-1. Unfortunately, they lose to the New Jersey Devils 4-2 in the Eastern Conference Finals. But the rivalry with the Devils would be kind of set in motion that year in 1995. And I saved this one for last. I skipped a little bit. We're going to go back then to 1990. Phillies lose to the Braves 12-3 in front of about 57,000 fans at the Vet as the Phillies retired Mike Schmidt's number 20 that day. They gave him and his family a trip around the world, a golden diamond pin of number 20. The Braves even got into the act, giving him a 5-year supply of golf balls, which, if it was me golfing, obviously Mike Schmidt is a much better golfer and an avid golfer. If it was me golfing, 5 years worth of golf balls, the Braves would be losing money. Just kidding. Maybe not, though. But Mike Schmidt, the GOAT, had his number retired on this day in 1990 in front of 57,000 fans, received all the gifts and everything that goes with it, all the accolades. But unfortunately, the Phillies lose that day 12-3, but I don't think anybody in the stands cared about the actual game. It was all about Schmitty that day. And then finally today, our Philly connections. Bill Raftery. You know him as a legendary coach and broadcaster, specifically for March Madness. Drafted by the Knicks after a great college career at none other than LaSalle University. Yes, Bill Raftery was an explorer from 1960 to 1963. As a freshman, he set a record of scoring 370 points. As a senior, he was a co-captain, led the team to the NIT. averaged 17 points per game as a sophomore. So he was pretty legit as a player down on North Broad in Albany there. But he knows his stuff. But he had a cup of coffee, probably a little bit more than a cup of coffee here in Philly. So Bill Raftery is today's Philly Connections. Played for the Explorers from 1960 to 1963. Pretty damn good, if I might add as well. So there's today's Billy Raftery. You know him best I was too young to see him coach, but you know him best as one of the analysts on CBS, specifically during March Madness. So he knows his stuff. Spent his formative years, I guess you could say, here in Philly at LaSalle. On this day in 1990, Phillies retired Mike Schmidt's number 20 jersey. Unfortunately, the Phillies lost that game to the Braves 12-3. Flyers sweep the Rangers to go to the Eastern Conference Finals on this day in 1995. They stave off elimination, beating the Oilers 4-3 in Game 5 on this day in 1987. Sixers go up 2-0. But unfortunately, a brawl between them and the Trailblazers lit a fire under the Trailblazers, and they would lose the next 4. The wheels were set in motion today when Connie Mack Jr. made some wholesale changes in the A's front office, paving the way for the team to leave and move to Kansas City. And in 1933, Chuck Klein hits for the cycle for the second time in his career. Love to know your thoughts. Let's have some good talk on the Back to the Future voice and text line. GOAT high school athlete. Will Kobe Dawn? Is there somebody else I'm missing? I mean, you could certainly make an argument for any of those three, and I'm open to hear arguments from anybody else. But who would you say your GOAT Philly athlete? If you can't choose between those three, who's your favorite Philly high school athlete of all time? I mean, there's plenty to choose from. And of course, we'll have more on the Phillies. Hopefully they're avoiding the slump. But congrats to Tyrese Maxie. Let me know your thoughts on trading him. I don't think it's a horrible idea. Strike while the iron's hot. Don't make the same mistake you made with Joe. I know we all love him, but you could get a pretty damn good haul for Tyrese Maxie. Remember, the best view from the game is probably from the stands, but that's not where the action is. So you have to decide, do you want to have a nice view or do you want to be in the thick of it and playing the game? I'd rather be playing the game. How about you? Hopefully you go through, take something out of that for your week. Try to enjoy this weather today, too. After all this rain, it's supposed to be a beautiful day today, it seems like. So get out and enjoy it. Take a walk on your lunch break. Do something and have some fun today. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for May 26, 2026. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.